When you buy a motorcycle helmet, what are you actually paying for? The technology? The safety research? The brand name built over 60 years by engineers who rode motorcycles themselves? Or are you paying for a quarterly return target set in a London office by people who have never sat on a bike? Because depending on which helmet you buy, the answer to that question changed recently. And most riders have no idea it changed. The transactions happened quietly. The press releases use words like unlock new potential and accelerate growth. The logos on the helmet stayed exactly the same. Here is what actually happened to the brands sitting on your dealer's shelf. Bell Helmets was founded in 1933 as Bell Auto Parts. Roy Richter acquired it in 1945 and produced the first modern production helmet in 1954. Polyurethane foam liner, hand-laminated fiberglass shell. Bell developed the first full-face motorcycle helmet. For decades, Bell was the helmet. Not a helmet. The helmet. The standard against which everything else was measured. In 2016, Vista Outdoor, a publicly traded company whose primary business was ammunition, bought Bell for $400 million and added it to a portfolio that included Remington Ammunition, Camelback, Bushnell, and Camp Chef. Bell, the helmet company founded by a California hot rodder who cared about keeping heads intact, was now a line item in an ammunition and outdoor gear conglomerate's earnings report. In 2022, Vista Outdoor added Fox Racing to the same portfolio for $540 million. Fox Racing, which had been making motocross gear since 1974, now shared a parent company with Remington Bullets. Then in October 2024, Vista Outdoor split itself in two. The ammunition division was sold to a Czech company for $2.2 billion. The gear division, called Revelist, containing Bell, Fox Racing, Giro, Camelback, and 8 other brands, was sold to Strategic Value Partners, a private equity firm, for $1.125 billion. Strategic Value Partners is not a motorcycle company. It is not a helmet company. It is not an outdoor gear company. It is a firm that acquires distressed assets and extracts value from them. That is not a criticism. It is a description of the business model. The question every Bell rider should be asking is what extracting value from a helmet company looks like when the people running the extraction have never worn one. AGV was founded in 1947 in Valenza, Italy by Gino Amisano. The initials stand for Amisano Gino Valenza, the man's name and his town, sewn into every helmet the company ever made. Valentino Rossi wore AGV. Giacomo Agostini wore AGV. The brand's history runs parallel to the history of motorcycle racing itself. In 2007, Italian gear company Dainese acquired AGV. A legitimate combination, two Italian companies that both understood motorcycles, building head-to-toe protection under one roof. That made sense. Then the private equity rotation began. Investcorp of Bahrain bought Dainese, and therefore AGV, in 2014 for 130 million euros. The Carlyle Group, one of the world's largest private equity firms, bought Dainese from Investcorp in 2022 for 630 million euros. 630 million euros for the company that Lino Dainese had built from a workshop in Mulvina. Carlyle financed the purchase using debt. Hundreds of millions in debt. Debt that sat on Dainese's balance sheet while Carlyle managed the brand. By 2025, Dainese was carrying approximately 300 million euros in debt. That is roughly 15 times its annual earnings. The company posted a 120 million euros net loss in 2024. Sales were falling. Asian markets had collapsed. The debt payments were becoming impossible. In 2025, Carlyle Group sold Dainese, and with it AGV, to its own creditors for €1. €1. The symbolic price of a company that has become worth less than its debt. The buyers were HPS Investment Partners and Arcmont Asset Management, both based in London. HPS had just been acquired by BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, with over $10 trillion under management. Arcmont is a subsidiary of TIAA, the American pension fund for teachers. The helmet Valentino Rossi made famous now belongs, through a chain of corporate transactions, to a firm managing teachers' retirement savings. I personally think that sentence tells you everything you need to know about what the motorcycle gear industry has become. Here is where the story gets specific in a way that industry press has barely covered. Arcmont Asset Management, the same firm that just acquired Denise and AGV as part of the 2026 restructuring, also currently controls Schuberth GmbH. It is the German premium helmet manufacturer, the brand that makes helmets for Formula One drivers, German police forces, and a substantial portion of the serious touring rider market. One asset management firm, Arcmont, now has control positions in both AGV and Schuberth simultaneously. Two competing premium helmet brands under effectively the same ownership structure. The European Commission reviewed the Denise acquisition and approved it, but the conflict between Arcmont's AGV interest and its Schuberth position is sitting there in the ownership structure, unresolved. What does it mean when two competing helmet brands share a common financial controller? It means the competition that normally drives safety innovation and price competition between those brands is structurally compromised. It means the R&D teams at AGV and Schuberth are both ultimately answering to the same financial interests. It means that whatever choice you make between an AGV and a Schuberth at the dealer, the money ends up in the same place. Here is why this matters to you directly. Private equity ownership of safety equipment companies follows a documented pattern. Cost reduction in manufacturing. Workforce reduction. Supplier consolidation. Raw material substitution where specifications allow. The goal is margin expansion. The mechanism is cost reduction. And cost reduction in helmet manufacturing means something specific. It means the materials and processes that make a helmet good at absorbing impact energy are exactly where the pressure to cut costs falls. The 2026 Motorcycle Buyer's Bible has the full gear certification breakdown. What DOT actually tests versus what it does not, what Snell certifies versus what it ignores, the specific ratings that matter for the kind of crash your bike is most likely to be involved in. It launched at $97. Right now it is $9. Link in the description. Not every major helmet brand went through the private equity cycle. Two did not. And the contrast between those two and the ones that did tells you something important about what ownership structure actually produces. Arai made its first motorcycle helmet in 1952. The company traces its roots to 1900, a hat maker that became a helmet maker when Hirotake Arai, the founder's son, started riding motorcycles and decided to build a better helmet than anything available. Arai is still privately held, still family-owned, still run by people who ride. Arai has more Snell-certified helmets than any other brand. Their helmets regularly test at the top of independent safety evaluations. The company has never sold to private equity. It has turned down acquisition offers. It has sacrificed market share to maintain manufacturing standards that a profit-maximizing owner would have compromised years ago. Shui, founded in 1959, is publicly traded on the Tokyo Stock Exchange, but the founding family retains controlling interest. The company produces approximately 1.1 million helmets per year. Its revenue grew 34.7% in North America in fiscal 2024, even as the company sold fewer units because it raised prices rather than compromise quality to maintain volume. A company that has the confidence to raise prices while selling less is a company that believes in what it is making. The pattern is consistent and not subtle. The brands that have remained under independent or founder family control have maintained or improved their safety reputation. The brands that have cycled through private equity ownership have provided investors with returns and provided riders with questions about what changed in the process. String. I am not telling you to stop buying Bell or AGV. I am telling you to buy with your eyes open rather than your brand loyalty on autopilot. Here is what the ownership map looks like right now. Bell and Fox Racing, strategic value partners. Private equity, acquired 2024. AGV, BlackRock subsidiary HPS and Arcmont TIAA pension, acquired 2026 via debt restructuring, previously Carlyle Group. Schuberth, Arcmont controlled, same firm now co-owning AGV. Nolan, X-Lite, Grex. Two Ride Holding Group, parent company of Shark Helmets, acquired 2019. Shui, family controlled. Tokyo Stock Exchange, independent. Arai, family owned, private, independent. HJC, Korean company, independent. If that ownership map affects your purchasing decision, It should. If it does not, that is also a legitimate choice, but it should be a choice made with the actual information rather than made in the absence of it. The one piece of advice I will give directly: when you buy a helmet, buy to the certification, not to the brand. DOT is the minimum floor, it is the minimum legal standard, and it tests for less than most riders assume. Snell M220 is the meaningful safety certification in the American market. Sharp 5-star rating in the European test protocol. Those ratings exist independent of who owns the company. A Bell helmet that carries Snell M2020 is still a Snell M2020 helmet, regardless of who signed the acquisition papers. What matters is the test result, not the logo, not the private equity firm behind the logo. The test result. The description has links to the specific helmets from independent manufacturers that I would actually buy right now: Arai, Schuberth, HJC, all certified. All from companies that still answer to riders rather than quarterly return targets. That is where the money goes when the logo matters less than the ownership. I drive a 2000 Ford Ranger with 340,000 miles on it. I paid cash. Every system on it is something I understand. Nobody is managing it as a portfolio asset. Nobody is optimizing it for quarterly returns. It runs because I maintain it, and because the people who built it were trying to build a truck rather than trying to build a return on investment. The helmet brands that were built by people trying to build helmets are still producing the best helmets. The helmet brands that have been acquired by people trying to produce returns are producing returns. Whether they are still producing the best helmets is the question the test data will eventually answer, and the test data on recently acquired brands will be worth watching carefully over the next 3 to 5 years. The 2026 Motorcycle Buyer's Bible has the full certification breakdown, the specific ratings, the tests behind those ratings, and the independent data on which certifications actually predict crash performance. It was $97 when I launched it. It is $9 right now. Link in the description. That is the last time I mention it. Stay safe. Ride smart. Know who made your helmet and who owns them now.